C programming. In this session, we'll know about the introduction of C, history, features of C, basic structure of C program, writing and execution of a basic C program. Coming to the introduction of C, C is a general purpose programming language. Initially, it was developed by Dennis Ritchie in the early 1970s in US at AT&T Bell Laboratories. And C has been evolved, taking the features of the already existing programming languages like ALGOL, B, BCPL, Basic Combined Programming Languages, and making use of all the features available in ALGOL and B and BCPL. The Dennis Ritchie has added the features of data type. The feature of data type making a C a general purpose programming language which can be used for writing any kind of programs. Basically, if at all we think of C programming language, it has been designed initially to write the systems program, to write the systems applications, but later on it turned to be a general purpose programming language taking all the features from ALGOL, B, and BCPL, adding the data types concepts. Dennis Ritchie has developed a programming language in the early 1970s called as C, and now today it is a general purpose programming language which can be used for writing any kind of programs on the machines to get the solutions. And this is what the general history which we are supposed to know when we think of a C, taking the features of ALGOL, taking the features of BCPL, taking the features from the B language which was developed by the Ken Thompson, and in the early 1970s, around 72, the Dennis Ritchie took all the concepts from the languages ALGOL, BCPL, B, and developed a programming language C, adding the features of data types and including these data types. If at all adding of these data types, immediately you need to understand ALGOL, BCPL, and B, they were not the languages which are being included with the data types feature. And coming to the more about the features of the C language, it is a procedural or a structured language. As I shown you, it can move in a sequence, or it can go even on a selection basis. It can go even on a repetition basis. That's where the procedural, or it can be a procedure, it can be a sequence kind of structured language C is. And the modularity of the C, that means the way we go for writing the functions or the way we go for breaking up the program into different parts helps us to debug or to make the corrections or testing of the program or the maintenance of a program for getting a solution is going to be very helpful in C. And C is a high level language. C is not a low-level language. What does it mean as a high-level language? Means it is going to be written. The syntaxes or the statements, whatever we use in C programming language, they'll be coded, or the instructions we write using a C program are going to be in a simple English terminology. That's what we call it as a high-level language. If at all we think all the high-level languages uses similar English terminology to write the syntaxes or the program constructs which the programming language has been developed, on which the programming language has been developed. And C is more or less independent of a particular computer type. It says that highly portable. C is a highly portable language. Writing a C program on one computer can be executed on another computer with little or no modification. Once a C compiler is available on any of the machines, if once we write a program on one machine, it can be taken from that machine to the another machine, and we can execute and get the solution. That's one of the feature of C. And C is a case sensitive language. Why we call it as a case sensitive language means, if at all we write anything in caps and anything in small in C, both are treated as different. Anything in the then don't confuse it. If at all I go for writing SRU in capital letters, and it is different if at all I write SRU in small letters. These both the words are treated as different in C language. These are in caps and this is in small letters. So SRU and SRU, if both the words are same meaning, same pronunciation, but the both are treated different, that's where we call C as a case sensitive language. And why the C is so popular today, and why we learn C as a basic programming language when we come to the professional studies. And C is one of the reason is C is one of the early programming language, one of the early programming languages which was developed for writing any purpose of the program on the machines. That's one of the reason. And one is it is the best programming language to learn quickly. I can go for saying it is not only to learn quickly, it is one of the best programming language to develop the logical thinking in programming. It develops us a lot to think logically and write the code. That's where we will be able to solve the problems. We'll be able to get the solutions to the problems using the logical thinking of the human brain. That's where the C develops. C helps us in developing the logical thinking and learning the language quickly and easy to use. It can be used anywhere else. It can be used on any machine. It can be written on any machine and it can be executed on any machine. And C is a structured language. I say that when it comes to the structured language, it is not a language which only goes in sequence. It can be written as structures where the modularity of the programming comes into existence. The implementation of the functions comes into existence. That's what we see structured language. When we move ahead, we'll be knowing what is a structured language. Then all the modern programming language, why C is so popular today in the sense, in one or the other way, in one way or the other, all programming languages today are making use of the concepts of C. That means the concepts are based on C. The way they are developed, the way they are being implemented, the way they are getting the problem solved, those concepts are based on the C programming language, and it can be used on variety of the platforms. C is not restricted to use only on one single platform. It can be used on any machine on any platform. That's where the C has become so popular. And to making use of all these the features, to make use of all these features and knowing all these features, mostly all the universities globally, they go for adopting C as the first programming language in their course to make the students to learn programming. So that's the reason why C has become so popular programming language today. And all the industries coming for the recruitment or the job observation absorptions, they go for testing the students logical skills, rational thinking using C language. And coming to a structure of a C, what's the structure of a C program? The structure of a C program is this. The structure of a C program consists of a main function, and the main function has the body of the main function within the curly braces or the flower braces. We call them as the curly braces or the flower braces. This is what the basic structure of a C program, from main to the end of the curly brace. And within the main function of the C program, we have the local declaration and the statements. For now, you just remember that they are the statements or the body of the C program, way of the body of the C program. Remember one thing, the basic structure of a C program consists of a main program, main function, and it has a body. In the body, we have the statements which are supposed to execute and get a result to our problem. So whatever we write as an algorithm, if at all I say algorithm has started with start and ended with end, in the similar way, I can go for saying my C program will start with a main function and end with a end flower brace or a curly brace, and in between main and end of the flower brace, in between the starting and ending of the flower brace, I have all the statements whichever I want to, as whichever I want to use to get a solution to my problem. So this is the basic structure of a C program. Every C program need to have one function, as one function, that one function is the main function. So my structure, I'm showing a structure, and in that I've shown a basic function. That function is the main function, and without the main function there won't be any C program. So main is the entry point of the C program. Main function is the entry point of the C program. So without main, there won't be any C program. Even if at all you write a C program without main, it will not execute and give you the result. So main is the entry point, and where the execution of the C program is started. Without no main, no execution. And main is the name of the function. Don't get it confused. It is the name of the function which is already predefined. And this you can't go for making a change. It is predefined by the programming language. It is already defined. We don't define. We are supposed to use it as a function, and in that function we write the statements which we are supposed to write and get a solution to our problem. That's it's already predefined in the C library. So keep one thing in mind: structure of a C program or C program execution or a C program basically need to consist a main function, and that main function has the body. In that body we go for writing the statements which we need to get, for which we need to get the solutions. Okay, if at all you look at an example of a C program, as I told you, my C program need to start with the main function, and it starts only with the main function. I say why I am calling it as a function. Do remember one thing: whenever I write anything like this, it is only a word. In programming languages, whenever I write anything like this, it can be a word, or it can be a variable, or it can be a symbol which stores some value. But whenever I write anything like this with the two brackets opening a, we call them as a parenthesis. If at all I am opening with a bracket and closing with a bracket, and now this x is called as a function. X is called as a function. This x can be defined. It can be defined to do a specific task. So we call it as a function. That's where I said modular programming, structured programming. So using of functions, using of implementation of functions make C as a structured programming. So we'll see it when we go ahead and deeper into the C program. But as of now, you remember main is a function. Why main is a function means because it is followed by parenthesis, a open parenthesis and a closed parenthesis, and I have a flower braces as opening flower brace and a closing flower brace. This is indicating the body of the function main. Body of the function main. In this body, whatever I am going to write, they are going to be executed by the machine and give me an output. Whatever I write in between the body of the function main, they are going to be executed and I get the output. So for example, in this example program, I used a printf statement where I am going to get an output to welcome. So using of a printf statement, as I used display show in algorithm, I'm using a function in C programming. That function name is printf. Again, you might be asking why I'm calling it as a function, because it do have parenthesis opening and closing. You look at it is having an opening parenthesis and closing parenthesis bracket, and in between that I am writing something, and whatever I have written in something between that those parentheses, I'm getting it as an output on the screen. And to get whatever I write as an output on the screen, and whatever I write here need to be written between inverted commas. This is mandatory, and these all the things which we are speaking now, they are the programming rules. They are the programming rules. We told every programming language comes with rules, with some rules, with some characters, with some features, with some properties. So here C, it's writing within the inverted commas, it's the programming rule of the C programming language. And then if at all you look at the end, I used a semicolon, and it is also rule of the programming language of C. Every statement in C need to end with a semicolon. If you are not ending with a semicolon, it is treated as an incomplete statement. So C programming language doesn't have any meaning in its incomplete statement. Immediately it gives an error. So my statement in a C program need to end with a semicolon. And one exception is that you are supposed to remember that for keywords and some functions, we don't go for using semicolon. So we are supposed to learn where we are supposed to use, where not we are not supposed to use the semicolon. We need to have a conscious of them using. So for this example program, main, I have the body of the main function, and I have a print, where in print I have written the welcome within the inverted commas. I have a semicolon end of the statement, and when I execute this program, my program, first program, I go for getting an output welcome. I go for getting an output welcome. It is yes. Printf is a function used in the body of the main function to give the output whatever I have written in between the double quotes, to give the output or display the result whatever I have given in the double quotes. This output will be given on the output screen of the system. Okay, when we use any of the development environments for writing the C programs. And moving ahead, here is an example for you, a C program with header files. And what the header files are, I'm going to tell you right now. And previous program, I started only from main. And this is the main function. And this is the entire main function. And from here to here, from here to here, it is the body of the function. Body of the function. And within the body of the function, I have written two printf functions. One printf is taking welcome, and other printf is saying well C to C language. Okay. And before I go to the header files, I'll speak something about slash n. We call it as a escape sequence characters, where slash n is used for giving a new line. So whenever we use any escape sequence character within the inverted commas, it is not going to be displayed as it is, but it displays and it can carry out some function which is already defined to these escape character sequences in the programming language. So here escape character sequence slash n gives a new line. That means welcome will be printed on a new line, and to C language is going to be printed on a new line. This is what the construct of the my main function. And coming to the header file here, and stdio.h. Stdio.h is a standard input output header file. As I told, I'm using a printf statement here. I said printf is a function. And when I write printf and within inverted commas, I said everything will be displayed as it is on the screen of the user. Who knows how the system knows when I use a printf statement or a printf function, what it is supposed to do? Do the system knows? No. Then how does system need to print that welcome on the screen? That's where comes the role of the header file. So header file is a header file which defines, it is a predefined file which already has some functions defined in itself. So when I'm using stdio.h, printf is an output function. Then when I call output function, this printf is defined in a header file stdio.h. So if at all I don't go for using this stdio.h in my program, my printf doesn't have any meaning. My computer, my system, my compiler, my program doesn't know what is printf. So if at all my compiler or my system need to know what is printf and print welcome, I should make use of stdio.h. What is stdio.h? Stdio.h is also a program, what we are calling it as an header file, which has in itself what printf has to do. That means my stdio.h tells what printf has to do. If there is no stdio.h, what printf has to do is not known to the system. What we call it the compiler. So that's where the header files are. So header files are the predefined library functions or the predefined library files, which includes some of the functions which can be used directly in the C program or in the programming. So that's where the header files plays important. So when we want to include an header file, when we want to add an header file, I added header file. When we want to add an header file to a program, as we need to use a preprocessor command preprocessor command, and that preprocessor command here is include. So for adding header files to the programs in C, we use a preprocessor command called include, and this include is keyword. Remember, include is keyword, and it can't be used for any other purpose other than adding header files, other than adding some functions to the program. So include is a preprocessor directive or a preprocessor command, and which is used to add the header file. What is an header file? Header file is a file which consists the predefined functionalities of the other functions or the other commands which can be used in our program. That's what the header file is. So adding of header file can be done only using include. And to make use of this preprocessor command, we need to use a symbol to include the preprocessor command. To direct this preprocessor directive to include, we need to use a symbol, and that symbol we call it as a hash symbol or the pound symbol. Generally it is a pound symbol, but we'll call it as hash include stdio.h. And when we are including the header files, look at here, header file is included using angle brackets. We call them as the angle brackets. Remember that we call angle brackets. Okay, angle brackets are used to include the header files, to include the header file. So why do we need this header file? We, if at all we want our program to make use of printf, then I need to use header file stdio.h. In the similar way, we have many header files defined. We have many more inbuilt functions in C programming language to be used in our programs to get the solutions to our problems. Okay, so we, let's move ahead and write some programs and get the results on the screen with practice, and to know how we can go for writing and getting the solutions to the very complex problems. So my output for this program is going to be welcome and to C language. And once again, I'll be back and with the structure of the C program with more specifications, with not only limiting to main. This is the main, with not only limiting to the main, but my structure of the C program has just been extended so to some more part. And we already know this is the main function, which is mandatory for every C program. And this is the body of the function where we write the statements to execute and get the results. That is what. And other than this, I have something here, and on top I can go for having the header files. Okay, hash include stdio.h header files. We call them as a header files. As of now, we know only one header file, hash include stdio.h, and that's where the preprocessor directives. This is what the preprocessor directives. And in between this header file and the main, I can go for having the global declarations. What we call the global declaration, I call x equal to 10. I call int x equal to 10. That's where the global declaration. So I can have global declarations in my program. So what are global declarations? When we go for making use of them, you'll be coming to know. I can right now, I can say that whatever I write in between this, they are only available for main. If at all I write anything outside main on top of the main, these are available for my entire program, for my entire C program, for all the functions, for all the other user written functions in the C program. So other than the main function, even I can go for defining my own functions, my own user defined functions in the C program. That's the very general structure of a C program, consisting of a preprocessor directives and global declarations, main function, and other function. This is a little bit complex structure, not complex structure, a basic structure of a C program. So let's have a look at of the C program, how the C program is going to be compiled and executed. Why do we need the compilation? As this is a C program, hash include stdio.h and main and printf hello, as it's going to, it need to be printed. So when I want this need to be printed, the output of this program need to be printed and given to the user, and whatever is written here is in English. All the syntaxes or the rules of the programming language are followed and written in English. rules, all the syntaxes of the programming language, syntaxes of the programming language are being written in English. So this English language, as include stdio.h, main, print, written, this language is not understood by the system or the machine. Machine understands only one language, that is 0 and 1. It understands only one language, binary language. It understands only binary language. So, but the program written by us is in English. It is not in English, it is a C program, but written with all the C programming syntaxes are written in English terminology. Can it understand? No. My program, my computer, my machine doesn't understand what is this high level code is. This is what we call it as a high level code. And this high level code need to be converted into a low level code. This is called as a low level code or machine language, the code in which the code where only in zeros and ones. The code is only in zeros and ones. You can look at the code is only in zeros and ones. Okay. So to want you to convert our high level code, this code that whatever we have written to convert into the zeros and ones. I need to convert it. We need to convert. So this is only the thing which my machine or the compiler or the machine can understand and give me the result. So to get it converted, to get it translated, my code into zeros and ones, every programming language, not only C, any programming language or every programming language in which in whatever we program they comes with two, any one of the two utility softwares or the any one of the two softwares called as compilers or interpreters, compiler or interpreter. Any programming language, whatever the programming language we use, they need to have as a compiler or interpreter. Okay, interpreter. So what does a compiler and interpreter does is the question. Now the compiler, I used a C compiler, you can see it's a C compiler. So immediately you might have understood that my high level programming code is taken by the C compiler, and C compiler is translated into a low level code which machine can understand, zeros and ones. So what is a compiler? Compiler is a program. Compiler is an application, a program which is embedded in the programming languages, which compiles, that means translates my high level code, translates this high level code, what the high level code into a low level code, that is a machine code. This is low level code, low level code. So this is the code only which can machine understand. So after compiling this, and this is, we get a file on the name of the program, that is sample.exe. You can go for seeing here, it is samp.c. Now it is a C code. This is a high level code is in samp.c. C specifies that my file is, name of the file is sample, and .c specifies that my it is a .c file. And then coming to the down, you can see samp.exe. This exe says which consists of the only the machine code, only the machine code, and this is the only the file which we can execute and get the result. This is from where we are going to get the result, not from here. We are not going to get the result from here, as we need to, no result from here. This directly we can't go for getting the result from here. Here, from here we go for getting the result. So compilation need to be done. After compiling, we get an exe file or executable code in C, and this file is going to be executed, and then we get the result output of our high level code. And coming to a compiler, what is the difference between a compiler and interpreter? You might have already understood, they are the programs which translates our code into the machine code. So what is the difference between a compiler? Compiler compiles, or compiler translates my entire program into a machine code all at once. My entire code will be compiled and translated into machine code all at once. So that's the functionality of a compiler. Then what is the functionality of an interpreter? Same, it also does the same, but only the difference is my interpreter compiles, my interpreter, sorry, it not compiles, my interpreter interprets line by line, one line after the line. It is not going to translate the entire program all into machine language at once. It is going to change, but it is going to translate, but line by line, one line after the other line, it's going to translate. So that's only the difference between a compiler and an interpreter. For the best example of the compiler programming language is C, for your understanding, because now you know C language very well. That the name of the programming language mostly you heard might be the C. And for the interpreter language, I think the name of the language which you have learned very popularly nowadays is Python. It is an interpreted language. Okay, so you have got understood difference between a compiler and interpreter, and why do we need the compile and execute the program whenever we go for writing a program in C. Okay, that's where we go for writing a C program in an environment, and we see the execution of the C program, and then we move to the other session. And I opened an IDE to write the C program. The IDE is the Dev C++. We call it as an IDE, Integrated Development Environments. We have many of the IDEs like the Dev C++, CodeBlocks, Eclipse, Sublime, and VS Code. There are so many other IDEs nowadays developed to make the coding of the programming very easy. So right now, what the IDE we are using is Dev C++, where it has the IntelliSense. It tells us the errors. It shows us the commands in different colors and non-keywords in different colors, and the syntaxes. If at all we go for doing some errors, immediately it will be pointed over there and shows us the error, where the error is taken place. And that's what the importance of the IDE is. We call them as the integrated development environment. The IDE is what we are using to write the program. Here is Dev C++. And when we open the Dev C++ installed on your computer, when you open it, this is how it's going to be appearing on the desktop or on your machine. And how, from where you are supposed to write the program, let me explain. And when we open your Dev C++, you have the title bar on the top of the window, and then we have the menu bar, and then we have the toolbar, and towards the right side we have a box of the project box, and where we go for having the description of all the files whatever we are going to open. So to open a new file to write a C program, basically go to the file, you have a new option, click on the new, and then when you click on the new, you have a project and the source file. Of course, we are not going to do a project right now. We are only in the starting stage. You just go for selecting a source file, click on a source file. When you click on a source file, immediately a file will be opened for you. A file will be opened for you, and an empty page will be displayed where you can go for writing a program. And this is where we go for writing a program. So we start writing a basic simple C program. So my simple C program, I'll make some mistakes and show you with practice. So I go for basic structure of a C program. I'm going to explain. My basic structure of a C program is it need to consist of a main function, sorry. I start with writing main. So I start writing with main. This is the function, and it starts the body with the two braces. One is opening flower brace and the closing flower brace. And then I used a printf statement, and you know why the printf statement is used. To print anything to the user on the screen, we use the printf statement. Okay, I'm writing welcome to the learning of C. Okay, I've written this, and then I just go for closing the statement with a semicolon. As you know, it should be closed with a semicolon. And this is my basic structure of a C program. This is the basic structure of a C program. What it should consist a main function, and it should have an input or output statement. So whatever I want to execute, they are going to be in between the flower braces. I can say this is the flower brace, this is a flower brace in between the opening and the closing brace. And you should always remember that whenever I go for opening a bracket or any brace, it should have compulsorily an ending. It should have an ending. For example, I opened here function brace. If at all I close here, immediately you can see there is a pairing of brackets. If this pair is missing, it gives you an error. It is a program syntaxes. So after writing a program, my program has been writing is completed. So before I go for compiling this program, I need to save the program. So you do save the program. Save the program. When you say save, say click on save. When you say save, it will ask you to give the name of the file, and you give the name of the file. For example, now I write as a first program. I'm giving it as a first as a name, and you are doing C programming, but the environment in which you are doing is a C++ environment, that is Dev C++ IDE. So to make sure that your program is a C program, say it first and give .c and say save. But before saving, I want to say you one more thing also. Whenever you go for naming your files, please see that and do that only you give the file names with characters, and only in small letters, characters and small letters, without any spaces, and appropriate file names. For example, this is my first program. I have given first .c, and give the appropriate file name and include .c, type .c and say it as save. Once I save, this program remains in my computer's memory as long as I go for deleting this program. So now my program is saved, and after saving this program, I need to execute this program. To execute, to make an output to be displayed to the user, I want to compile this program and execute. Without compilation, there won't be any execution. So compile this. Why we need to compile? You all know that I written everything in English using C programming language, but this entire thing need to be converted into a machine code. To convert this into a machine code, I need to convert as compile. For compiling, we have a tool in the toolbar, that is in the menu bar. You have an option called execute. Click on execute. When you click on execute, you have an option called compile. Click on compile, or you can go for using a shortcut key F9. So click on compile. Once you compile, yes, your program is going to be compiled. Your program is going to be compiled. If compilation is done without any errors, see here, I have an error. If compilation is done without any errors, it will give no errors. No errors. I'll show you now. See why it is giving an error. There is no error. To my knowledge, there is no error. Why it gives an error? Because built-in function printf, you can see here down, built-in function printf. I'm using a function of C which is already built in, and it doesn't know what now printf need to do. My compiler had converted my code into machine code, but machine is unable to understand what printf need to do. What printf need to do is defined in already a file of the C programming language in the library of C, so that I need to use in this program so that my printf can work. So what is that printf? How I can make my system to know what printf is? So I include an header file. That's the role of an header file, understand? So how do I include an header file? For including or adding an header file to the program, I use a symbol hash. I use a symbol hash followed by a preprocessor command. Preprocessor command. What is that command? Yes, that is include. Include. Include is a command. It is a keyword of the C. It is a keyword. You can't go for using anything else there. Include. And how do I add that header file? I should add that header file within the angle brackets. So stdio dot h, standard input output header file. This means standard input output header file. Now I included standard input output header file. Now my system knows what printf is. What printf is. So to make sure to give the result or get the result, once I make the changes to the my program, once again I need to go to save and save. Already I have given a name to it. It will not ask name again, so it is already saved. Once it is saved, again I need to compile. See, previously you have compiled, that file will be existing in the computer. So if at all you run without compiling, again you will get the error, because only the previous file will be executed. You want that previous file to be replaced again with the corrections, then you need to do again one more time compile. When you compile, see now down you will get warnings 0, output file. See, you can see here warnings are 0. In your compilation there is no error, so no warnings are 0. And output file has generated. Which output file? First.exe. You can go for seeing here first.exe is being generated. First.exe is being generated, and now this first.exe is the file which is going to run, which is going to execute and give us the result when I say run. So now I go for saying run. After there are no errors, I need to go for saying run. So now I go for saying run. When I say run, immediately on a console window, we call it as a console window or an output window. On the console window or an output window, you got the output. You can see welcome to learning of C. Welcome to learning of C. This is how we compile and execute a basic C program. I go for making one more. I go for adding one more line here as printf. I write welcome to SR University. As I made some change, I added a line to the program, then I go for saying it a save, then I go for, see, without compiling, I run the program. You can see what the output I get. I got only one output, that is welcome to learning C. Why? Even I have added one extra line here. This line has not reflected in my output. Why? Because already a file has been created. What file? My compiler converted my previous program, and that file is only been executing. So you already made a change. After making change, again you need to make the compile. You need to compile it. When you compile it, these changes will be added to our machine code file. So after compiling, now you go for making running of your program. Now it can result, you see, welcome to the learning of C and welcome to SR University. Output is here now, welcome to the running of C and welcome to the SR University. And now I can go for making a small change here. See, I'll remove this semicolon from the end of the statement. When I remove, again I compile it. You see, again you compile, immediately you are getting an error. You got an error, some error you need to understand as expected semicolon before printf. So this printf statement, before this printf statement, it is expecting a semicolon. Where that semicolon need to be? Here. Why? Semicolon is the rule to end a statement in C programming language. If at all you miss it, it will give you an error. It will not execute. So what I do is I just go for keeping a semicolon, and again I try to compile it. It compiles successfully so that I can execute the program. But one more thing I need to add it here to make it our flexible output, to make it to show our output in a convenient manner. I just go for adding /n. I already told you /n is a escape sequence character or a control characters which controls how the output is going to be printed here. /n is a new line character. When I included /n, again I go for compiling it. Once the compilation is done successfully, I execute the output. Now you can go for seeing what the output is as /n welcome to learning of C, welcome to SR University. My two lines have printed on two new lines, separate lines. My one printf is printed is one line, one printf statement is printed in another line. So whatever I have written in between the inverted commas within the printf function will be given as an output to the user on the output screen. So this is the basic structure of a C program. So as I told you, every C program is mandatorily need to have a main function. So if at all I don't have main function, what happens? You see, I'll just change this main name as pain. I'll just change this. So compile it and see, make a change in compilation, compile it and see, immediately it gives an error. You can go for seeing the error. There are errors. You can see ID returned exists status. No, my program is not executing. My program can't be executed because to execute a C program or to get a result of a C program, in any of the environments of C, as your program need to consist a function called main. It should consist a function called main. So without main function, your program can't be executed. So make it as main, and once again you try to execute it. So these all the things you can go for practicing and checking what is happening. You can verify what is happening. As now I get the result again. Welcome to learning of C. Welcome to SR University. So this is how a basic C program can be written and executed, making use of the IDE, that is dev C++, and the structure includes the header file. This is called as the header file preprocessor directive, where I added a preprocessor directive header file with a preprocessor command #include stdio.h and the main function followed by the output statements or the output function printf using, and saved and executed. And that's all how we go for executing a basic C program.